You're listening to Indie 88. It's Lana in studio with Hannah Georgas, who has recently released her new album, I'd Be Lying If I Said I Didn't Care. And Hannah, I just heard that you did this black box session and you had a little company, a little audience outside.
You all have a raccoon that is nesting right beside your window. That is extremely cute. I've never seen a raccoon sleep in a tree before, so that was nice to be together with a raccoon while I played my songs.
Well, congratulations on your new record. I'd be lying if I said I didn't care. I feel like the word care has a lot of heft to it. And when you went into this album, I wanted to know, what did you care about the most from a creative standpoint?
The record is a lot about self-reflection and self-love, self-awareness, self-worth. And I guess it's just like caring a lot about, taking a step back and just like looking at everything and caring. It is a lot about like caring what other people think. Trying to portray that I'm not made of steel, I guess, and that things affect me. And I don't know. That's kind of where it came from.
Was this something that started kind of organically during the pandemic? Is this something that you went into the album with that kind of idea of vulnerability, or did it start just coming out in song?
Well, after my last record came out during the pandemic, and the thought of like writing and all that stuff just didn't feel great while that was happening. So it took some time for me to just kind of switch gears. I ended up like moving out of the city, just because I had grown out of my neighborhood and just wanted some space and time. And I think that helped me kind of get some perspective and started the process of self-reflection. And I moved out to the country, and after, I realized I couldn't tour or do anything, and I just started to kind of switching gears and writing a bit, and it all kind of came out of me just writing. I didn't have any songs or anything, and I think actually the phrase "I'd be lying if I said I didn't care" I found in a notebook, and I was like, oh, that kind of sums up a lot of these thoughts that I'm writing down, and that would be a cool record title. I've never ever came up with a record title before I had even written songs before. Usually it takes me a million years to figure out what a good title is, and that one just kind of was already there on a piece of paper for me that I had written down earlier. So what was the question?
No, it was from a creative standpoint, the word care, and if you went in with this that kind of idea of starting with this concept and creating from there, or if things just kind of came. But it seems like they kind of just happened.
They kind of did. And it kind of just came out of like the same, just kept writing about the same thing. And that was the theme that kind of kept rolling and coming out.
As far as this record, you're self-produced as well. And I was wondering if that, again, was intentional, or is that kind of a byproduct of the times?
It was very intentional. I've just always wanted to try it, but I feel like it's taken a lot of courage for me to get there. And also I think I wouldn't have been able to do it on the previous times before, because I've been able to garner a lot of experience working with a lot of great people on records and producers. And I think I just knew in my heart that it was the right time for me to try it, because I've always thought about it. I've always wondered what it would be like if I actually tried to take this into my own hands and make a record. And I've always just dreamed of doing that. And so I really, really wanted to make a conscious effort to do it, even though I was still frightened about the idea and excited, but kind of scared. Yeah.
Was it easier than you thought? Was it more challenging than you thought? What was that whole experience like?
A mixture of both. It was really rewarding. It was rewarding and easy in the sense that if I didn't like what was happening, I wasn't offending anybody if I just like threw it all away and I could start all over again. It gave me time to like just really think about it, work on it at my pace.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes when you're working with other people, you're on their timeline and schedule. And so it ends up being I don't know, less, just a different game or a different way of working. And so I just really liked the idea of me being able to kind of sit with it. If it sucked, I can start all over again. If it's great, then I can keep going. And I liked the idea of bringing in people. I collaborated with a bunch. My partner co-produced it with me too, and he was the one actually who just really encouraged me to produce and pushed me to be like, no, you can do it. You've always wanted to do this. So.
It's Lana. I'm speaking with Hannah Georgas. We're talking about her brand new record, and it's called I'd Be Lying If I Said I Didn't Care. It's out now, and you will be here in November 3rd. Before we talk about the track we're going to get to, I wanted to talk about the album cover because it's you're surrounded by instruments. It looks like in a really small space. Your head is down. It's kind of an interesting snapshot, and I was wondering about how that represents the album, or much like the album title seems to just kind of begin the process.
Yeah.
What's the kind of context of that?
That's exactly what it looks like when I'm working in my space. Whether it's in that was actually taken in another room, not in my place, but I was setting up shop for a bit in a place, and that shot was taken of me. But that's exactly what it looks like anywhere I kind of decide to sit and start working on music. And those are all all the tools and instruments and toys that I like to work on and play with when I'm demoing and making a record. So it just felt like a really cool moment, and also like exactly what it is for me when I'm working.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to talk about the concept of home a bit. You're heading back to Toronto. You're heading out on tour again, and then back to Toronto November 3rd. And I was going to say a hometown show, and then I started thinking about the concept of home. It's interesting to me because you've lived many lives, lived many places. You have a song called Home. What is the signifier of home? What does that mean for you?
Well, that song specifically is about feeling misplaced, not feeling like you have a sense of home. I have just been thinking about it. Like I've moved, like you said, a lot throughout my life, and have felt that feeling of just like, what is home for me? I've moved away from home when I was 18 and jumped around all over the country, and you live in pockets and places. For me, I have 2 years at a time, and then you're on the road. And I remember writing this song at a place where I was just feeling like I don't know what that is. I don't know what that feeling feels like. And you watch people around you feel like they are settling down, they are settled in, and time is moving by, but you don't feel like you're moving. That's kind of where that song kind of came from, just feeling a bit like misplaced.
Mm-hmm. What grounds you when you're touring? What makes you feel like you're at home? Is anything? the facial expression alone from that question was an answer.
Tricky. What grounds me? I think my pillow that I bring from home, but also just the people that I'm working with on tour, the people that are around me that make me feel good, and also just being healthy and all those things just kind of keep me in check and make me feel good.
Before we get to the track, though, I just want to bring up, there's a real kind of Joy Division tone to this one. What was that something you were were you checking out some of your old favorites while making this record? Can you give us some kind of sonic inspiration?
Definitely. I'm a huge fan of Joy Division, The Cure. I was kind of just thinking back to all my influences and really wanting to just listen to those things that I've always really found interesting in the music that I love and that I'm inspired by, and tap into that and play around with analog gear and synths and guitars, and that was definitely a conscious effort of like just kind of looking back into like all the stuff that makes me so happy when I'm listening to music and what I want to tap into.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much for taking the time.
Of course, my pleasure.
We look forward to seeing you November 3rd at TD Music Hall here in Toronto. Let's get to the latest from Hannah Georgas now. Here's Home on Indie 88.